minimum value of 4.5 voltage, and the minimum gain value is 1 voltage, and the maximum gain voltage is about 1000 voltage. Next. So this is the LM 3 to 4 parameters. So same as before, the maximum of supply voltage is about 32 volt, and the minimum is about 3 volt. Next. And this is the TL084 parameters. It's slightly different with the LM324. It has the maximum voltage of 30 volt, and the minimum supply voltage is 7 volt. Okay, next. So now we're going to talk about the analysis of our circuit. Next. So this is the simulated circuit using on the module. So it only has one input. Next.
Okay, so this is the different parts of our circuit. So as you can see over here, this is the raw EMG signal, which is the input, and then the INA128 acts as an amplifier for the signal. So this stage is called the pre-amplification stage. And then this part of the circuit is the full wave rectifier. And then this is the low pass filter. And then this is the inverting amplifier. So the first part was taking the raw EMG signal into the INA128. So this is the schematic for the INA128. So it has amplifiers and then an inverting amplifier in the end.
So in this INA 128 has two different parts, which is the buffer, which is the first two op-amp, the A1 and A2, which is which is acting for the solving the high impedance value that get from the body to become low impedance value, make it more ideal. And then the op-amp A3, it is the differential amplifier, which is to amplify the value. So we use this basically we use this INA 128. It's to because we have two input and we want to have a one output. So this is the calculation. The equation is times R5 divided by R3 and times 2R1 divided by RG plus 1 and plus reference. So except the Vn, except the V input, all of the value is already in the INA, and then we only has to input the V in itself. So it has the value of 104.7 millivolt. Next, okay, this is the simulation, which is has almost the same value with the manual calculation.
Okay, so the next part is taking the signal into the full wave rectifier, which is this part of the circuit. So this is the simulated V out of the rectifier portion of the circuit. And then after that, we took the signal from the low pass filter, and it looked like this. And then, yeah, so we calculated the cutoff frequency to be around 1.97 and the simulation showed around 1.9. And then the last part was the inverting amplifier. So, sorry, my laptop is frozen. Oh, yeah. So this is the output after it goes through the inverting op amp. And then these are all the signals plotted at the same time. So final result over here. And this one, the red one over here, is before it is inverted. And then, yeah. So, next, we tried inputs to the circuit. So it's very similar to the previous example, but here we have two inputs. So this is similar to the other groups as well. So we just added over here this extra input, while previously it was just this one connected to both the 2 and 3. So that's the only difference here. These are the two inputs, similar to before, but this time there's two. This is the V out after the INA 128. And then this is after the full wave rectifier. This is the V out of the low pass filter. And then lastly, this is the inverting amplifier V output, which is the final result. And once again, we plotted everything together. So here, this is the last output, the final output of the circuit.
So next is we try to simulate the circuit with an addition of noise and adding the band pass filter. So this is the circuit that we use to simulate this yeah, this is the circuit, and we add the noise at the beginning, which is white times 2 to the power of 6 times time and divided by 10. And then the noise we compile it with the input voltage, which has the amplitude value of 500 micro and 2 hertz frequency, and the other one it's the amplitude is 10 millivolt with the frequency is 100 hertz. And next also we add the band pass filter. The band pass filter. I try to only use gain one gain, one amplification of gain. So I use 1K of resistor, and capacitor I use one 79 79 106.17 nanofarad, and the other one is 318.5 nanofarad. So next it will be discussed later.
Yeah, and here we also decided to change the op amp for this simulation.
Yeah. So this is the result of the input, which has more or less the same wave sinusoidal form. Next. So this is the instrument amplifier. The output that result from INA 128, which is it still have noises because from the input we already from the input there are a lot of noises. Then after it goes to INA 128, it becomes more. The noises become less, and since it has amplification on INA, the amplitude is much bigger. So next. So this is the bandpass filter. The function of the bandpass filter is to eliminate the noise. As you can see, it's different from the output from the INA 128. It no longer have noises. So next. So this is the body plot of the bandpass filter, which is the low frequency is or the high pass filter is has cutoff frequency at 2 Hz, and the low cutoff frequency is 500 Hz, which is the minimum and maximum, which is I got it from the module, and I use yeah, same amplification. It's gain equal to 1. Next. So the other is almost similar to before. So the rectifier has a function to eliminate the uh, minus sinusoidal form, because it turns from AC waveform to DC waveform, because this rectifier we use is in positive half positive cycle. Next. So this is the result from the low pass filter. It's yeah, and then next. This is the body plot of the low pass filter, which is the same, have the same calculation as before, that is shown by NASA. At minus 3 dB, it has the frequency value approximately about 1.975. Next, and this is the inverted amplifier, which is has 10 times amplification, because the equation is R9 divided by R8, which is 10K divided by 1K, which is has 10 times amplification. Next. So this is the overall output, since we only add the bandpass filter. So it makes the waveform from the INA 128 more smoother and have no noises. Okay. So that's it from us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Debbie and Esther. Thank you for the presentations. Okay, so now, Pak Debbie, do you have any comment or questions for the presenter?
Yes, thank you, Devita. So I would like to have one answer, some questions. First question, could you please show us again the last graph from your last slide? Yeah? Okay, so how to annotate this? Yeah, so let me see if I can annotate. Why cannot annotate? Ah, yeah. So, okay, we see here, for example, this graph, yeah, So it seems like the response is drifting. We call it drift. Do you still remember what drift is? Yeah, so it means if the measurement is continued, Yeah, for after the 100 millisecond, judging from this, it seems like that the graph will keep increasing. How do you explain this phenomena?
I think it needs more time, sir, because I only add for put the time for about 100 milliseconds.
Yes, okay, but looking at this trend, it doesn't seem to be constant, right? Or it doesn't seem to decrease even. So it seems like all the way decreasing, decreasing, increasing, increasing, increasing. Like while the ripple here is more or less will be caused by the signal, the original EMG signal itself. But there is this drift. You know what drift means?
Mm,
You forget what drift is.
I forget, sir.
You forget. Nasser also forget what drift is.
Yes. So is it just never-ending signal?
No, not like that. Drift is like a shift, a changing, slow change of the signal. Yeah? So you with time, something like this. Yeah? So actually, even if you don't give any input to the EMG electrode, this will still keep going, increasing, 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 increasing until maximum, until it saturates the circuit. So how does this happen? How come this happen from the circuit? If you can explain from the circuit point of view, uh, what makes what cause such drift?
Mm,
Hmm.
uh,
Okay, no problem. I think that's all my question. Kak Devita, maybe Kak Devita has also separate question.
Okay, thank you, Pak Didi. I think I have no question for this presenter, for this group. Okay, you can close your presentation. Maybe an answer. Okay, so we can continue to the next presenter. I will run the random number generator again. Okay, so the next presenter is group 2.
So group two, who is group two?
Group 2 is Crystal or Eleonora. Crystal, right?
No.
Cristo Eleonora. Eleonora, right?
Eleanor.
As yeah,
Eleonora.
I remember it was me and Diana.
Okay.
Okay, you can start presenting, Eleonora and Diana.
Eleonora and Diana, right?
Yes, but
Okay, please turn on your camera, Eleonora and Diana. Where's Diana? I don't see Diana here. El. Yeah,
Oh, I think Diana's here.
in the waiting room. Okay, now.
Oh, is Diana here already?
Is Diana here? Okay, Diana, please turn on your camera. And also Eleonora.
I don't think Diana. There's no symbol for her microphone.
Excuse me?
I don't know if Diana is here.
Yeah, I think she is here, but
I don't think
Diana,
she
can
can.
you
Oh,
connect
okay.
to the microphone? Can you turn on your camera, please? Diana? Otherwise, you used to account like last week.
Oh, okay.
Use your smartphone as camera.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Sir, maybe I will turn on my camera later because my laptop is mati, Sir. Tadi kesenggol kabelnya.
Yes. Now you are using your smartphone account or your laptop?
Using my smartphone.
Okay. Can you not turn on the camera in your smartphone?
Bentar, coba.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay. So good afternoon, Sir, Dedi, and Kadef. So today, I'm Diana and Elnora. We are going to talk about electromyography. Okay, so Okay, so motor neurons are nerve cells that control and transfer electric signal that makes the muscle contracts. And EMG is a device that is used to measure the motor neurons and the activity of muscles through electric potential during its contraction. So to measure the speed and strength of muscle electric signal, actors also use. So electrode is a device that is used to convert ionic potential into electric potential, and electric potential can occur because there is muscle contraction. Okay, so this is the whole circuit. This is the circuit from the module with one input, one AC input. And then next. So here we use INA 128 as the measurer. So here there are two. The INA 128 can be divided into two parts. So the first part is there are two non-inverting amplifiers, so it acts as buffer. And then the second part it is the non-inverting amplifier that is used to make the output bigger. Belum El, sorry. Okay. And also the when R1 is equal R2 and R3 equal to R4 and R5 is equal to R6, there is also the formula for the output with that condition. So next. Okay, so this is the calculation for the output of the INA 128. So from the formula, we got 104.7 millivoltage. And then next, okay, so this is the simulation. And we can see from the simulation, the peak of the first, the peak of the output of INA 128 is around 104 millivoltage. And then the second circuit block is full wave rectifier. So the full wave rectifier we use for okay, so we use full wave rectifier to cut the negative cycle because we only need the positive cycle to make the output DC. And so this is the simulation of the full wave rectifier. So the formula is the voltage DC. For the voltage DC is 2 voltage maximum divided by pi. And this voltage DC will be used, the result of the voltage DC will be used for the final output. The next, this is the calculation. So calculation of the full wave rectifier at the positive half cycle, the first diode, it will act as forward bias, which is it will be a closed loop. And then for the second diode, it will be act as reverse bias. So it will be open loop. And then at negative half cycle, the first diode will be act as a reverse bias. So it is open loop, and then for the secondary, it will be act as forward bias, so it's closed loop. Okay, and then the third circuit block, so it is active low pass filter from the R6 until the output of the first non-inverting amplifier or before R8. Yeah, so that is the active low pass filter to reduce the ripple, the ripple voltage. And then the second non-inverting amplifier, it used to make the result bigger. Okay, and then so this is the simulation of the final output. It used a formula voltage DC that we got from the full wave rectifier multiplied by gain.
Okay, so for the low pass filter that we used before, this is the same as last week. So this is just basically making sure that each block works the way it's supposed to be. So here, a low pass filter in the end has a cutoff frequency of 2 Hz, same as last week. From the body plot, we can also see that at minus 3 dB, it is around 2 Hz, and from calculation also it is the same, around the same value of 2 Hz. So that's for the low pass filter. And different from last week, we simulated same as study and answer group also. We inputted the signals, two input signals for the forearm and bicep with noise. So here, what we did was we inputted the same signals like last week, a 500. One of them is 500 micro volts and at the frequency of 250, and the other is 1 millivolts with 300 hertz frequency. So these are the inputs, and we added it in series with the noise using the function of white, same as I did before also. That varies the time and will vary the signal and adds the input signal with the noise. So that's how we add the noise simulation in the LT Spice. And then next, what we did was we also added an active bandpass filter to smoothen the signal further from the instrumentation amplifier. And then lastly, because when we found out that the final input was very, very low, we decided to increase the gain from the last inverting amplifier. So this is the two inputs with noise simulation as explained before, the voltage source with the behavioral voltage we put in series, and then we inserted it as signal 1 plus noise and signal 2 plus noise. So this is the noise input, and the red one here is the output from the instrumentation amplifier, the ENA128. So you can see that there are some noises, some ripples, some very clear ripples on the output voltage, which is why we use the active bandpass filter. Here we use a lower cutoff frequency of 2 Hz and a higher cutoff frequency of 500 Hz, which is the range from our reference in which EMG signals can be detected. And so when we simulated the active bandpass filter with these capacitor and voltage values with a gain of 1, we got what we wanted, which was a lower cutoff frequency of 2 Hz and a higher cutoff frequency of 500 Hz, which falls in the range of the EMG signal. So then we get a smoother and less rippled voltage output after the active bandpass filter. After that, as usual, we, as the one before, the circuit block tested before also, we rectified it. Everything will be in positive half cycle, and after that we put it back in the low pass filter that has a cutoff frequency of 2 Hz as before, and then we amplified it further with a gain of 1000, which we increased, and we finally got this final output, which is amplified more to around 400 and 450 microvolts, and it increases until it gains a certain constant value, even though there are still plus ripples, but this is only for a simulation of 1 second. In conclusion, we can conclude that with more contraction, of course, there is higher action potential to the muscle cells in our body, and thus there is a higher voltage that can be detected in the body. and dominant arm or with heavier weight, of course, there will be more contraction, right? So there will be higher voltage that can be detected, as it is also for biceps, which is the main muscle in this anatomy figure, and non-dominant arm or with lighter weights, of course, is the other way around, lower voltage, and forearms, which is the secondary muscles, has lower voltage also. But this will also be based on movement and based on the contractions of the muscle, the area of the muscle. So these are the references that we used, and more will be on the lab report. And thank you. That's it from Diana and I. Hello.
Okay, Kak Devita, may I ask, or we should?
I'm sorry. Okay, so
Yeah, you are the moderator.
okay, so thank you for Elvira and Diana. Thank you for the presentations. Okay, so now is question and answer session. Pak Dedi, please.
Yes, Diana and Nora, I think quite good presentation. So in the simulation results at the end of the final terminal, right? Yeah, so you could find out that the steady state value is somewhere around 450 millivolt, right?
Yes, based on the
Yeah.
amplification.
But that those oscillating wave is due to what? Yeah, and what frequency does it have? Yeah, that oscillating wave around that 450 millivolt value.
For the frequency of this.
Yes,
this
that's
one.
what is it? Where does it come from?
I believe it came from the low pass filter. So the low pass, this should be in a wider range. It should look rather constant, but this is a rather narrow range.
Excuse me, can you repeat again? I cannot hear clearly.
This is on a narrower range, so you can see the ripples.
Yeah, this thing, yeah, this frequency. Can you look in the piece spice, for example, what is that frequency? What is that period? In the
Oh, okay.
actual
I
piece
think
spice, what is the
we're gonna
period
have
of
to
that wave?
simulate that
So that
first.
then you can know the frequency also of that wave.
Okay, sir, we're going to try opening our LP files. I think for it to reach 1 second will take a while, sir.
Yeah. So you don't have the result from the previous simulation. Yeah? You don't have it. Yeah.
The result, no.
The
If we want to see the frequency, I think we're gonna need to zoom in first, and we're
yes,
gonna need to
yes, sure.
simulate it again.
Yeah. So these things you need to pay attention to, yeah, so that then
Okay.
you know what it is actually. So then if I ask you what is then the muscle activation, how would you answer? Is it the 450 millivolt average value, or is it the fluctuating value? Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
It takes long, eh?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, while waiting for this, you said that you simulate the signal with noise. Okay, can you zoom in on the circuit also and to look at the beginning? Yeah, so how can you explain to us how did you simulate this EMG signal? Where does it come?
Yes. As the model said, we simulated it with FGM, which is the AC signal. So here we have two signals. This one with 1 millivolts, which is in the range of our reference of an EMG signal, and the frequency also. And then we put it in series with this behavioral voltage, which when we researched about it, it can give us a noise, a function of noise, which an example of it is with this function of white noise. Sorry if it's a little loud.
Yeah, so but this is inputted to the signal, right? To
Yes.
simulating the output from the two electrodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, last week I told you to try to simulate also the actual muscular signal itself, not as a single sine voltage, but as a combination of multiple frequencies of sine voltage. Have you tried that one?
Oh, the one where was it? Where we combine different frequencies.
Yes, different. So combining different frequencies to simulate the EMG signal more realistically. So for example, here in SIG1, instead of just using 250 hertz, you combine it, for example, with, I don't know, 100 hertz, 150, 117, something like that. You cannot use just this one single box. You have to use multiple voltage source. Then being
Oh,
superposition, yeah, being added as into, you can use voltage sum, ya, summer, ya, voltage sum, summing amplifier. You know that, if you ever heard, you can use summing amplifier, or otherwise you can just put them in series.
like this one.
Yes, like that one, and see whether it can generate more realistic signal, EMG signal. Yeah, last week that is what I told you all. Okay, but aside from the white noise is more automatic, but this one is that the EMG signal itself may come from even the vibration of the muscle itself, not a single frequency, right? It's a combination of several frequency, which I don't know. So, which maybe you can take from available data in the internet, like I told you last week, using data from Visionet, take it and then maybe process a little bit using Octave or MATLAB to find the FFT. Then you know the frequency component. I do not expect you to simulate all the frequency component. Let's say if they have maybe 10, you just take 3, 5 maximum, and then add the white noise. That is for each electrode, yeah. So not what I meant is for each electrode. Then you have another electrode having similarly also combination of 5 frequency component maybe. Then the EMG signal will measure the difference between these two electrodes, right? That is my suggestion last week actually. Okay,
Okay.
can we see again the result of
It's still 0.1 second.
so still 10 seconds from now. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I'm curious what is that frequency, and so if you know that frequency, so which signal actually indicate the EMG? Is it the DC value of the output, which is 450 millivolt, right, in your simulation, or the AC value? Okay, since we don't have much time, please put this analysis and discussion also in your report.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Dev,
Anna
Thank you,
silakan.
sir.
and Elena.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Devita, you don't ask, not asking.
Okay, but okay, udah selesai ya? Oh ya udah.
Oh, Kak Devi has some questions.
Yeah, just one question maybe. Did you put notch filter for filtering the 50 hertz?
Oh, we researched and found a paper that said that the notch filter actually creates lost signals, and that usually they only use bandpass filter.
Okay. Okay.
That's from
Only
what
one?
we researched. Yeah.
Okay. So from Diana, do you have some addition?
Oh,
No. Okay, so I think that's all. Thank you guys for
thank you, Kak.
presenting. Okay, so can go to the next presenter here. Okay, the next one is group 3.
Which country?
Me and Michael, sir.
Maria.
Yes.
Yeah, Maria and Michael, right? Okay.
Maria and Michael.
Okay, Maria and Michael, you can start presenting now.
Do not forget the video. Maria. Okay.
Okay.
This is recorded, yeah. Do you mind later I upload to YouTube?
Okay, sir.
Your faces will be there. The presenter face.
Yes. So, am I presenting, sir?
Yes, yes, we have.
Okay, so good afternoon, Mr. Dedi and Kak Devita. My group, Michael and I, will present the result of our electromyography simulation. So for our tools, we use the LT-SPICE instead of Multisim Online because Multisim Online had a limitation for the amount of components that we can put. So a little background.
So a little background of the simulation. So the nerve cells that control muscles are called motor neurons, and they connect to the muscle fibers through neuromuscular junctions. The motor neurons and the muscle fibers, which they innervate together, they are called a motor unit. And when a muscle is contracting, these motor units continuously fire, so during the contraction.
Okay, so a little about the electromyography. So when motor units fire, the muscle cells will conduct electricity in the form of higher or lower electrical potentials. This is called action potential when the muscle contracts or relaxes. So the physicians or therapists can use the electromyography result to examine the state of the muscle by analyzing how the action potentials are formed in the certain area. And using the information from EMG also, the doctors can determine whether a patient has a muscle disorder. For information from our source, the range of human EMG signal frequencies lay between 5 Hz and 450 Hz. This reference has been cited in the report. So this is the procedure for our simulation. So this is the simulation circuit, the whole simulation circuit from the module. So we have, can I annotate? Okay. So this is the instrumentation amplifier. And then this is the rectifier. I cannot, I have to move this. Okay, and this is the low pass filter, and this is the inverting amplifier. So the points that we measure were this, the output of the instrumentation amplifier, the output of the rectifier, and then the final output. Okay. So, oops.
Okay, so the next is we made some modifications to the circuit, and the first modification is when we added a noise towards the circuit in the module. So this is the whole simulation circuit where the noise is added onto the input signal. And as seen in figure 4, the noise is added by adding an arbitrary behavioral voltage source. And then the noise is connected onto the input signals. And again, the same as the previous circuit, we measured the output at the output of the instrumentation amplifier, the rectifier, and the overall output of the circuit. So this is the first modification, and the second modification is.
So this is our second modification. So in total, we have 3 circuits, and this is the last modified circuit. So in this modified circuit, we added bandpass filter and also added noise to analyze the effect of bandpass filter if there is a noise. So okay, so this is again the instrumentation amplifier. This is the noise and the input signals. And this is the bandpass filter. The detail of the bandpass filter will be explained later. And this is the rectifier. This is the low pass filter again. And then this is the inverting amplifier. Okay.
So the data and the calculations for the circuit in the module. This is the instrumentation amplifier that we used. Is the in a 128 instrumentation amplifier. The gain of this amplifier can be adjusted by changing the resistor gain or the RG. Then the gain of the amplifier can be calculated using the formula written there. And for this experiment, the RG we used was 240 ohms. Thus, the gain that we get was 209.3. And this is the instrumentation amplifier output from the circuit from the module. So we can see that the output of the instrumentation amplifier is seen on figure 6. And it can be seen that the amplitude is at around 1.03 volts and a frequency of around 300 hertz. By calculation, for the theoretical calculation, the input of the instrumentation amplifier was 5 millivolts and 50 microvolts. And the output can be calculated by multiplying the difference between those two inputs with the gain. And the theoretical calculation was 1.036 volts. And next, Mark. Maria, internetnya is.
Maria is cut off from the internet.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, yeah. Okay, this is Diana also. Hello, Maria. Are you there? Yeah, she was somehow cut off. Okay, let's pause recording for a while we wait for.
Okay. So the next is the output instrumentation amplifier output when the noise is added onto the input signal. And we can see that in figure 7, the output of the instrumentation amplifier is still a sinusoidal signal. However, the output compared to the previous one is not as smooth and is more distorted. The amplitude of the signal is also smaller compared to amplitude from the module, and the frequency produced is relatively similar.
So this is the instrumentation amplifier output from the circuit with noise and bandpass filter. So it is similar like the previous one, like the instrumentation amplifier output with from the circuit with noise. So we can see the distortion in the signal, and the amplitude is 95.58 millivolts. Then the frequency is 300 hertz. So this is the bandpass filter circuit. So this circuit is only used for the last modification, the third circuit. So okay. So in the bandpass filter circuit, we use a resistor of 1K and capacitor of 32 microfarads in series, and then we use resistor 1K ohm, and then a capacitor of 353.9 nanofarad in parallel. So the gain is supposed to be 1. The cutoff frequencies will be discussed later. So this is the result of the bandpass filter output that we got. We can see that the signal from the bandpass filter output is much smoother than the signal from the instrumentation amplifier. So this is the signal from the bandpass filter, and this is the signal from the instrumentation output before it goes into the bandpass filter. So we can see that there's distortion here, but then after it goes out from the bandpass filter output, it is much more smoother. And then we obtain the amplitude of the bandpass filter output signal, which is 80.65 millivolts, and the frequency is still the same, which is 300 hertz. And so this is the bandpass filter body plot to obtain the cutoff frequencies from the bandpass filter circuit. So we wanted the cutoff frequencies to be 5 hertz and 450 hertz. So we analyzed the bandpass filter that we made using the body plot, and we obtained that the low cutoff frequency was 4.999 hertz, and the high cutoff frequency was 449.224 hertz. So it's really close to what we wanted. So this is the rectifier circuit. We use this circuit in all 3 circuits. Okay. This is the rectifier output. So we see that the rectifier output only shows the positive data, and this is, I believe, is from the circuit from the module. So we got the VDC from the calculation and also from the graph, which is 0.637 volts.
And the next is the rectifier output when the circuit is added noise. We can see that here the rectifier output still has some distortion, and it's not smooth because the noise hasn't been filtered out, and the amplitude of the output is here 90 millivolts, and from there we can get the VDC, which is 57.3 millivolts. So if we compare this rectifier output with the circuit with the bandpass filter, Mark.
Okay, so this is the rectifier output from the circuit with noise and also the bandpass filter. So we can see from this graph that the signal is much more much smoother than the signal from the rectifier output from the circuit with only noise without a bandpass filter. We can see that the distortion is gone in this result, and the amplitude from this signal is 73.54 millivolts, and the VDC that we obtained from the calculation and also from the data was 46.82 millivolts.
So after the rectifier circuit, we go on to the final block circuit. The signal goes into a low pass filter where the ripple voltage from the rectifier output is decreased and to produce a straight DC output and an inverting follower circuit. And the circuit of the low pass filter and the inverting follower circuit can be seen in figure 15. And from figure 15, the gain of the low pass filter can be obtained by dividing R8 with R7. So the gain of the low pass filter is 1. And the gain of the inverting follower circuit can be obtained by dividing R10, the feedback resistor, with R9, the input resistor. Therefore, the gain is 10. So next is the body plot of the low pass filter. The low pass filter's cutoff frequency is determined by using the formula 1 over 2 pi RC. So the cutoff frequency from the theoretical calculation we got is 1.975. And here's the from the simulation, and you can see that when it reaches minus 3 dB, the frequency is 1.975, which is the same as the theoretical calculations. So this is the output, the overall output from the circuit in the module. And we can see that the output of the circuit where the input from the previous blocks were amplified by 10 times by the inverting follower circuit. In the graph, you can see that the output of the circuit is around 6.3 volts. And from the theoretical calculations, we know that from the previous slides, the VDC of the rectifier is 0.637. Therefore, by multiplying it by the gain, we get the theoretical calculation is 6.37 volts. And this is the output of the circuit when the circuit is added with the noise. And in figure 19, we can see that the output is at around 560 millivolts. And again, from the calculations, theoretical calculation, we got the output is 573 millivolts, which is relatively similar.
So this is the output from the final output from the circuit with bandpass filter and noise. So from the graph on the left, from the figure 20, we obtained that the output, the steady state condition of the output is around 466.57 millivolt. And if we go back to the rectifier output, we knew that the VDC from the rectifier is 46.82, and we use the gain of 10 times. And if we calculated the output from the rectifier VDC output, we obtained that the calculated output is 468.2 millivolts, which is similar with the output obtained from the graph. So this is the analysis and the conclusion from our simulation. So we put a comparison table of the instrumentation amplifier outputs. So on the left, on the first row, from the left, we see the output from the circuit from the module. The amplitude was 1.03 volts, and the frequency is 300 hertz. And then the output, the instrumentation amplifier output from the circuit, from the modified circuit with noise, has amplitude of 96 millivolts and the frequency of 290 hertz. And then from the modified circuit with noise and bandpass filter, we got the amplification, the amplitude of 95.58 millivolts and the frequency is 300 hertz. And why the amplitude of the modified circuits are lower than the amplitude from the circuit in the module is because we use resistor before the input of the instrumentation amplifier. So that's why the value of the input signal was reduced, and that's why the value of the output amplitude was lower than the one in the module.
So for the rectifier output from the comparison table, it's seen that the output from the module circuit is much larger compared to the modified circuits. The Vmax of the module is 1 volts, while the circuit that was added with noise is 90 millivolts, and the circuit in the third column that was added with noise and bandpass filter is 73.54 millivolts, and the VDC as seen is from the module is 0.67, and the first modified circuit is 57.3 millivolts, and the second modified circuit, the VDC is 46.82.
Okay, so this is the comparison table of the final output. So from the module, we got the amplitude of the final output of 6.3 volts, and the graph can be seen here. And then the final output from the modified circuit with noise was 560 millivolts. The graph can be seen here, and
Frozen again?
Mark?
Hello, Maria? Maria, are you there? Maria,
oh,
are you there?
hello. It showed that the internet has one bar, sir.
Oh.
Okay, am I back, sir?
Yes, you are back now. Okay.
Okay. So the final output from the circuit with noise and bandpass filter has amplitude of 466.57 millivolt, and the graph can be seen here. So if we compare the graph from the modified circuit with noise and the modified circuit with noise and bandpass filter, we can notice that the output from the circuit with noise and bandpass filter is smoother than the circuit from than the graph from the circuit with noise. So that's the effect of the bandpass filter to the circuit. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. So so we discussed the function of each component of the EMG signal processing. So EMG signal processing circuit usually includes instrumentation amplifier, rectifier, and filter. So the instrumentation amplifier has high gain with low resistor values and with high input impedance, which is useful for EMG signal processing. And why we use rectifier is because in EMG signal processing, we only want to get the positive data. So that's why we use rectifier to cut off the negative data. And we use the low pass filter to reduce the ripple voltage and produce a constant output. And why we use band pass filter? Because we want to reduce the amount of noise from the input signal. So we only want to get the signal which has the frequency which is in range with the frequency of the EMG signal, which is 5 hertz to 450 hertz.
And for the muscle activation, we know that the more strength needed, the more motor units that fires. And the more motor units that fire, the higher the action potential gets. And in figure 22, the main muscle, it can be seen that the main muscle is the bicep muscle, while the secondary muscle are the forearm muscles. And when the electrodes are placed in these places, according to this movement, the bicep will generate a larger voltage compared to the forearm. So
okay,
that's it for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael and Maria, for the presentations. Okay, so it's time for question and answer. So I'll give the time for Pak Dedi, please.
Yes, thank you, Kak Devita. So, yeah, my question is similar to the question that I put to the previous group. So, but so what is the actual output here? Is it the DC or the DC value of the output, or the ripple, yeah, the frequency, the AC signal?
The amplitude, sir.
Can you show the result, the last slides, some of the last slide? Yeah, for example, here.
Okay.
So that amplitude, the steady state amplitude, that is what you are implying.
I believe so.
Okay. So now why my question is the one in the module is more than 10 times the value of that of your modified circuit. Yeah, 6.3 volt is 10 times compared to 560 millivolt or 466.57 millivolt. More than 10 times, yeah. 560 millivolt times 10 is 0. No, yeah, even 100, sorry. 100 times, yeah. Is it? No. Yes. Yeah, 10 times, yeah, 10 times, right? 0.560 multiplied by 10 is 560 volt, right? 560 millivolt is 0.560 volt. So times 10 is 5.6 volt. So, and then the module value is 6.3 volt. So what is the difference? Why your circuit give smaller DC value?
Because we use a resistor, sir, in the circuit with noise. So
And for the both the modification circuit, we in the input we added a resistor.
Okay, let me show you the circuit.
So in the actual circuit in the module, there is no resistor.
When we tried running the circuit without the
Okay.
Which one? So
here.
That one, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's why when we take a look at the output from the instrumentation amplifier also,
is it possible to zoom in, yeah, in that particular part? Is it possible to zoom in that particular part of the circuit?
I'm not sure, but can we? Is this? I don't think we can, sir, because it's Google Slides.
Okay, so in the left side there is noise, and then from that A and what is that? B or B?
A and B.
A and B. A and B comes from where?
from the input signal.
Which
From
one?
Here.
itu Mar. Ya, itu.
Okay. B2 and B3. Yeah. Which is 50 microvolt. Is it micro or milli?
Microvolts and 5 milli.
The microvolt is what? The B2.
Yeah, for the A.
Okay, can you connect it so that it is easier for us to understand? Annotate it. Where does that B2 goes to? Using annotation now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me use blue.
So that B2 is 5 hertz, yeah.
Yes.
And
5.
B3 is 300 hertz.
Yes.
Okay, and the noise is white noise, which you put into both sources, yeah, both electrodes, right?
Yes.
R11 and R12. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Then where does V3 and V4 goes to?
It's
for the VCC and VEE.
Okay. Yeah. Understand now. So basically, you are measuring the potential difference between two electrodes. In one of the electrode, you put so small voltage, 50 microvolts, while the other one you put 5 millivolts, right?
Yes.
Okay, what about the original module or circuit? How does it look like? Can we save this? Yeah, we save this. Wait. Okay, save it already. And you show the original circuit in the module.
This is the this is the circuit from the original module, sir. So it does not have noise.
Okay. The A you put 50 microvolt, 100 hertz. And to the B you put 5 millivolt, 300 hertz, right?
Yes.
Yes.
While in your modified module, the first one is 50 microvolt
and
5
hertz.
5. Right?
Yeah.
And this one is 100. Why you choose so different frequency? By chance or deliberately?
Yeah.
Did you do it by intention or by chance? You made mistake this one. The frequency is very different than the module. You understand what I mean? Or this is 100 hertz. 300 hertz, right?
Yes. So
and your change module, your change circuit. And can you go to the next?
Wait. Okay.
Yeah, this is 5 hertz. Right. This is 2 pi f, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is 300 hertz. So it means this is 5 hertz, right? This is 5 hertz. And this is 300. Well, the previous module part is 100 and 300. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So you cannot compare, right? How would you compare the performance of the two circuits when you put different signals into their electrodes? Even though, but amplitude-wise, yes, it is the same. This is 50 microvolt. This is 5 millivolt. But the frequency is clearly different. This one 5 hertz. The other one, the module part, is 100. 5 and 100 is 20 times difference, right?
Okay.
Do you admit this or
I think it was unintentional.
unintentional? Okay.
So
What is the next circuit with BPF? Can you show us?
for
It's
the
the K5
BPF,
is
yeah,
300.
This one.
it has the same frequency.
Yeah, the same, right? This is 5, right?
Yes.
So 5 hertz, right? This is 300 hertz. Yeah, so that is why I was wondering why the BPF noise is similar with the noise on the, yeah, but the module is completely different, 10 times. It doesn't make sense. So apparently you mistakenly input a much higher frequency to the first electrode to this one in the circuit with module, in the module circuit.
Yes.
Can you show again the first circuit?
Okay.
Yeah, see here, this one, 100, yeah. That is why.
I think it's
Higher frequency means higher power, right? Higher signal, right? Higher power. Itu enggak? Correct or not?
unintentionally put different.
Yeah,
input.
unintentionally, but fatal.
Yeah.
You cannot then compare them apple to apple. That's fine. They are different because what if you want to compare the circuit performance, then you have to give them at least the same basic signal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now the second one then will be, yeah, Wi-Fi first. So which one then is correct then? Better 100, 300 with 5 and 300.
I think it's better to correct the 100, sir. Change it into 5 hertz.
So it means, for example, if we have a hand here, let's say hand, you put your 2 electrodes here in the bicep. Okay, this is connected to the EMG, your INA 128 here. Okay. Now my question is, do you think that the frequency here in one of the electrode is much smaller than the other, the frequency of the muscle on the other part? So do you think that this is 5 hertz and this is 300 hertz? That they have so much difference in frequency between the 2 electrodes?
I think if we connect it to the same muscle, it will produce relatively the same.
Yes.
See?
Right. That is more logical, right?
Yes.
So if you put one 500, the other one 300, that doesn't make sense. You get it now, Maria?
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Michael get my point. So Maria, did you get my point already?
Yes.
Even with this 100 and 300, the original model, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. You should put almost similar frequency component to, because they are maybe located only 1 centimeter apart, 2 centimeter apart, right? The EMG electrode.
Yes.
In practice, right? They are not really like one in the chest, the other one on the arm. No, right? EMG, yeah. I'm speaking about EMG, not ECG. Yeah? Betul nggak? So it means they should have almost similar frequency components, only different amplitude. Betul nggak?
Okay.
If I read more on EMG reference, so that then your analysis is more makes more sense. Okay, then as I'm suggested, what I mean also with the previous example, for each of the source, you already put in your previous introduction that the frequency range is from 5 hertz until 300 hertz, right? Betul nggak?
Until
Yes.
yeah.
In the introduction, I masih ingat.
5 to 450, sir.
Yeah, even 450. Sorry. So then it means, this is what I mean is these two you can simulate 5 hertz So this one is 5 hertz. And the other, this person, let's say you simulate 5 frequency as I suggested. You simulate, let's say this one 10 times 50 hertz. Then this time another one is let's say 200 or 250, 200 hertz. Then another one 300. Then another one 450. You combine them. Gimana? Kalau combine itu diginian ya. Nah, gini ya, seri ya. You put them in series, right?
Yes, series.
Otherwise, you could also put them in a voltage summing amplifier. Okay. Summing amplifier. Remember what the summing amplifier is? Connected here.
Yes.
Like this. This will be added. Then what is the output of this op-amp will be the superposition of all the voltage source. Then you can simulate the signal more realistically, but then you only put some difference the amplitude, you put the difference. Yeah, this not 50 microvolt and 5 millivolt is also too high of a voltage difference, right? 50 microvolt and 5 millivolt, there will be 100 times difference, right? So how could be there so much difference between very small distance between the two electrodes? No, realistically EMG level is around microvolt, tens of microvolt. The difference, yeah, I'm not saying the absolute value. So if you give, for example, one is let's say 5 millivolt, the other one will be around 5.050 millivolt, yeah, or 5.1 millivolt, 100 microvolt. This is the difference with ECG. ECG is ECG is located in the heart, in the chest. Let's say in the chest, and then some distance. Chest is a very powerful electromechanic device. So, yeah, so it generates a lot of voltage difference in order that that it can pump, it can mechanically do a pumping motion. But even in biceps, because you are measuring very small distance between each other, between the two, yeah, the electrode may be on the put like this, yeah. Can you see?
Yes.
My hand. So maybe this is only, let's say, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter. Can you imagine there is 50 microvolt and 55 millivolt? So it means how many difference? 400, berapa itu? About 4 millivolt, more than 4 millivolt difference. I don't think so. If it is in the ECG, yes, maybe. In the chest, maybe, yes. But in the other part of the body, they are not that powerful, the signal, the EMG signal. So that is why my suggestion last week, try to look into the papers that give the original EMG file. What is the range? The value range of the difference between the two electrodes. Then simulate this into your circuit. And this is, I'm saying this not only to this group, Michael and Maria, but to the other 3 groups as well. Revise your simulation and put into the report. Understood or not?
Yes.
Yeah. Maria,
Yes.
still thinking?
No, yes, I understood.
Understand. So
Yeah.
that's why I need you to turn on your camera so I know your expression, your face expression, whether you are understanding or you're still thinking. Is it true or not? You're in doubt or what? Yeah. Do you agree or not? Yeah, you can disagree with me, but give some evidence from paper, for example, or reference paper. Yeah. Tapi even from now, it doesn't make sense, right? One is 5 hertz, the other one is 300 hertz. And this is put into the same, into 2 different electrodes, right? It doesn't make sense. So if you combine them, then each of the electrode you give this, it may still make sense. But of course, if possible, you combine with more frequency components to simulate or emulate more realistically the EMG signal. Okay, so each of this, yeah, this one, You put here, you put another one, you make another one for the second electrode. So this is for one electrode, the other one also similar like this for the second electrode. Then plus the noise, the white noise or whatever. Okay? Agreed or disagree? No, it's okay. We are open. If you don't think that if you think that I'm not correct here, it's okay. As long as you can say so, for example, some paper or reference paper, etc. No questions? No comments? Critics?
So far, no, sir.
But you understand, yeah, what I mean, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, look at the previous slide before this. Go towards the previous slide. Initial, yeah, slide 6. Proceed again further up.
Previous or the?
Yes, previous, not after. Previous again. Previous again. Okay. Go down. Maybe again. One more. Stop. You wrote yourself. Between means range, right? So it's not this is not the same as 5N 450, right? Between means all the frequency components also included between them, between 5 and 450. So can be 550, can be 100, can be 120, 150. To be realistic, yes, actually you should simulate the whole frequency spectrum, but maybe, I don't know, it's not that easy to simulate it under LT-SPICE. Just pick 5 maybe frequency component from the 5 to 450 Hertz, then simulate the EMG signal.
Okay.
This is not only for this group, yeah, for the other group, the other 3 groups, please listen, don't sleep. The other 3 groups, including those who have presented. Yeah, other people are sleeping, other students sleeping. Please say you are not. No.
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, I thought you're sleeping. Yeah? Drink coffee if you're sleepy. Okay. Yes, I hope it is understandable by Michael and Maria, but also by other students. Yeah, please. This is what I meant, yeah, which I haven't seen from Nasser's group and Laura's group. But I have told last week. I thought you understood. Yeah, but then no one understand. Let's see the last group later after this. Understand. Do they understand or not? I don't think they also understand. Okay, thank you, Jeremy and Maria. No further question from me.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pak Dedi. Okay, thank you, Maria and Michael. You can close your presentation.
Okay.
So now we go to the last presenter, Crystal and Kevin Wright. So please, you can start presenting now.
Sebentar. Wait a while. I need to pin your camera. Okay. Pin. Satu lagi Kristo ya. Is it Kristo? Okay. Pin. Then view. Okay, yes, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dedi and Kadef and everyone. So now this is our presentation about the electromyography. So what electromyography does is actually check the health of the muscles and the motor neurons that control them. And uses motor neurons to transmit electrical signals that causes the muscles to contract. And the EMG uses the electrodes to capture these signals into graph and numerical values. And usually EMG is used to detect symptoms such as tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, muscle pain, and limb pain. It also helps to diagnose and to rule out other muscle disorders such as muscular dystrophy or polymyositis, myasthenia gravis, peripheral neuropathies, and such as also amyotrophic lateral scoliosis or polio, and also herniated disc in the spine. For the muscle movement, these are activated between the two electrodes, which have a different action potential. And for the bigger the action potential, the bigger the signal will be. And at rest, there should be no signal present. And this is how we put the both electrodes. They're not too far apart. And we also have a reference electrode there with the gray cable. And then the two electrodes that's used to measure the muscles are the red cable and the black cable. So this is the block diagram that we use. We change from last week is that we use the same raw EMG signal, but we also included this noise. And then we use preamplification using the buffer, using the INA 128 also. And then we use the bandpass filter instead of just the usual filter. Then we rectify it. Then after that, we use the low pass filter, and then we amplify it.
Here is the circuit diagram. So here, same as the previous groups, we input the sine wave here, and then put this noise signal as the white noise. So this why we choose white noise, because according to Mr. Supuk paper in his title, Design, Development, and Testing of a Low-Cost Surface EMG System and its Use in Recording Muscle Activity in Humankind, one of the noise is white noise. So it is a noise component at all frequencies with equal noise power across the spectrum. So after that, we preamplify it before we process it further to make it bigger or higher, because EMG signal is very low. And then we do the bandpass filter to isolate the EMG signal, and then rectification to change from AC to DC, and then use the low pass filter to reduce the voltage ripple, and then the amplify it. So this is the graph, the raw EMG signal plus white noise. So here is the rough graph, and this one is the zoom one. And then here the preamplification. So this one is already the inverting and the not inverting input has been calculated using this. The input equal to this equation, and it's amplified as a 209 gain. And why we use an instrumentation amplifier, because can amplify low input signal and can accept high input impedance and produce low input impedance to prevent loading effect. So here, after we preamplify it, we use a bandpass filter to isolate the EMG signal. So according to the International Society of Electrophysiology and Kinesiology, or ISEK, the range of EMG signal is the lower part is 5 until 10 hertz, and the upper part is 400 until 450 hertz. But the ISEK recommend that the cutoff for the lower cutoff is around 5 hertz, and then the high cutoff is 500 hertz. That's why we use this, we calculate, we design the bandpass filter as this frequency cutoff, 4.97 hertz for the low cutoff, and then the high cutoff is 497.36 hertz. It's almost 500. So here, comparison between the blue one is the preamp output, and the green one is the bandpass filter output. So here, we use the active inverting bandpass filter. That's why the peak is inverted. And as you can see, this tick from the preamp output still has noise, while the bandpass filter output is much thinner, so the noise has been cut off. So after that, we rectify. We change the negative half cycle into positive half cycle. So this will produce AC to DC. And then to reduce the voltage ripple, we use the low pass filter with the cutoff of 2 hertz. And then is the output of the low pass filter. So from it, and then we get a straight line, should be zoom, so we can filter. And then after we get the reduced ripple voltage, we amplify it using inverting operational amplifier for 10 gain 10. So these are the result to compare. So the green one is the filter by the bandpass, and after that rectified by the rectifier, and then we reduce the voltage, the ripple voltage is shown with the red, and then the output, the amplifier output is shown with the, is it pink or purple? Yeah, this one, this color.
With the pink color.
Okay. So the conclusion.
So for the conclusion, to mimic the human muscle and then use a preamp to counteract the load impedance from the body, because the body is a high impedance, and that's why we use the buffer. And after that, we use the bandpass filter to isolate the EMG signal. And after we have the bandpass filter signal, we rectify it to change it from AC to DC. And we use the low pass filter to reduce the ripple voltage. And after that, we amplify, we gain 10 for the amplified output results. And these are our references that we got.
And I think that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Devita.
Okay, Pak Deddy. Okay, thank you for Crystal and Kevin. Thank you for the presenter. Thank you for presentations. Okay, so it's time for question and answer. So please, Pak Deddy.
Yes, similar. So can you see the last graph? Yeah, the last graph. So based on the input that you have put into the EMG, basically the output should be 5 volt minus 500 microvolt, right? Or 4.5 millivolt.
Yeah. Yes.
Correct me? Correct or not? The input of the first electrode is 5 millivolt. To the second one is 500 microvolt.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So the difference will be
what?
4.5 millivolt.
I'll check it first.
Okay.
Oh, it's one microvolt.
One microvolt.
And 500
Okay,
Uh,
okay, 5. Okay, okay.
1 millivolt and
First one is
100
500 microvolt, and the other second electrode is 1
1
volt.
millivolt.
So the difference will be 500 microvolt.
500 microvolt.
Right? Yeah. Okay, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This why, yeah. Again, the first one is of course this one. Yeah. This doesn't represent a true EMG signal. I thought last week you already understood it. Okay. So EMG signal, as you mentioned, and also the previous group also mentioned, 500 hertz until 450 hertz, right? While this one, at the first electrode, you only pick 2 hertz.
Yeah.
And this one is 100 hertz. Okay. So it just doesn't make sense that very close that you have shown the picture in the previous slide. The 2 electrodes are very close to each other, but one has a frequency of 50 times the other electrode. Did you get it? What I said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to change it. So it doesn't represent the real EMG. So real EMG, then the 2 electrodes should approximately have similar range of frequency. Okay. And for each one, for each input, you cannot put only a single frequency. You have to pick. Yeah, it's not easy to simulate the whole frequency spectrum from 5 to 450 hertz. That's why I suggested, like in the previous group, Maria and Jeremy. So each of the input you simulate using 4 or 5 voltage source, each having the peak from 5 to 450 hertz. And then you sum them, and then input to this electrode. The other one also similarly, maybe with a little bit of amplitude difference to simulate the voltage potential difference between the 2 positions across the muscles. Yeah, so that is my question or my critics in terms of this first block. Yeah, so the raw EMG signal itself, you need to simulate it more realistically.
Sir, can I have a question, sir?
Yes.
As for the frequency, so how small the frequency are going to be? Or the difference between each electrode?
The difference should not be that big because they are close to each other. Maybe they are only 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter apart. So the frequency component might be the same.
Sir, can I have a question again?
Yes.
For the superposition power voltage source, it should have the same amplitude or just tweak a little bit?
No, it doesn't have to have the same amplitude. Why it needs to be the same, doesn't it?
Oh, okay. But the difference only slight difference.
Of what?
The superposition.
Yeah, the difference between what?
So they're like, for example, there are four voltage source, right? For the for the superposition.
Yeah.
So we can, or we set all the amplitude as the same value.
That's why I don't know. I told you last week, find original data from visio.net.org or from paper, any journal paper. Yeah. So pick one data, for example, anywhere. Like this is EMG. So usually a bit like this, and then it has some belly. Yeah. Then when during the contraction, then relax again. Yeah. Do it differently here. It has when you move, you contract a muscle. It's from small suddenly like this, then small again, right? So try to pick that, put into Octave or MATLAB, then find the FFT of the signal, fast Fourier transform. This is time domain, right? And then you will get the frequency domain signal. What is the bandwidth of the frequency domain? Should be between 5 Hz and 450 Hz. But with the FFT, you will also obtain the relative amplitude difference between the frequency component. Do you get it or not?
Still thinking about it.
Huh?
Still think about it. So
Yeah, I'm using plain English. What about the others? Did you get it or not? The other group?
Sir, what do you mean by like contraction and then when we release? So in the same superposition?
When you move your hand,
Yeah.
the muscle contract like this. See,
Yeah.
your muscle bulge. Can you see it? Here, yes. Your muscle bulge like this, right?
Yeah.
Your muscle bulge. It contract. It contract.
Yeah. So
During the contraction, your muscle
for the values, for example,
vibrate. Your muscle basically vibrates and trills, and there are bursts of signal from the motoric neuron to the muscle. Bursts of ion. This is the one that is being detected by the EMG. Okay, this is the
sir. So sorry. So if we look at the 5 voltage sources in the bottom that you drew, so for example, if we contract or however it says that we start. So for example, I start with 5 Hertz. So when my muscles are strained, it goes to 70, for example, and then 90, and then it drops again to 50, and then
so like
5, for example.
You know about FFT or not? You guys already learned about FFT or not? Otherwise, no discussion. If you don't understand what FFT is, no point. I explain about it. Do you understand about FFT or not? Have you learned about FFT or not? Fast Fourier transform. Hello?
only a little bit, sir.
When did you learn about it? In mathematics, like you learn, right, from Pak Fatoni, and from signal system also you learn from Pak Aulia, right?
From Pak Aulia,
I think we haven't reached.
We haven't reached
Yes.
for it.
Are you sure?
It's only we're still in convolution sum.
You are in semester 5, masa belum diajarin FFT? How come you never learn FFT? Already learn, Mas. Convolution, yes, of course, you have to learn it. But FFT, Fourier transform, I already gave you Fourier series, right? Several weeks ago as a homework. Right?
Yeah.
Basically, FFT, fast Fourier transform, is the generalization of Fourier series when the frequency domain is more continuous. In Fourier series, for example, this is in the frequency domain, you have only like this, discrete component of the frequency. But in Fourier, if you use Fourier transform, yeah, it's more continuous in the frequency domain. Maria also doesn't understand this yet. Where is Maria?
All of them or?
Yeah, FFT about FFT. We transform. Never heard? Never heard.
Not that deep, sir.
Where did you get the shallow understanding? Where did you get it from?
I think it was only mentioned in previous semester.
In which semester?
Either third. With Pak Fatoni class, it was only mentioned.
Okay, yeah. At least already mentioned, right? You have to find yourself. This is where FFT plays a role. you cannot depend all the time to your lecturers. Lecturers give lectures based on the syllabus, and sometimes because they need to fulfill all the syllabus within one semester, they go very fast. You try the information on your own. Basically, I have given you fast Fourier series, right? Pak Fatoni gave you Fourier series or everything, and then the generalization of this is Fourier transform. So in Fourier series, sigma, what I equal n, and the n cosine, right? Cosine, what 2 pi omega n. I forgot. Omega something like this, right? And there is a an, right? Plus bn sin, yeah, right? Correct. Omega nt, right? Omega nt or omega it. Yeah. So this is sigma. Sigma is not continuous yet. Okay. It means it is still in series. Yeah. The homework I give you several weeks ago. Remember? And the omega is omega I. So for example, if you have 100 hertz, then 200 hertz, right? Multiplication of the original frequency. Yeah. Then 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 300, 400, etc. Harmonic, we call it harmonic frequency. Okay, that is for periodic signal. So when the signal is still periodic, so you can apply Fourier series if the signal, for example, is still a pulse like this, or sawtooth, yeah, pulse like this. Then you can apply Fourier series. But when your signal is like this, yeah, here the EMG signal, ECG signal, it is the periodicity is not obvious anymore. So then you use Fourier transform. So the integral becomes, the sigma becomes integral. Integral I until minus infinite until infinite, etc. etc. This formula I just forgot. Okay. So fast Fourier transform refers to the digital algorithm of the Fourier transform. Initially, it was DFT, discrete Fourier transform for digital, but the fast algorithm is fast Fourier transform. So from here, where is Nasser? Understood or not, Nasser? So
Yes.
yes, okay. So this one, the blue one, this one. So you have like this. This is in time domain, right? So then, if you do fast Fourier transform in the frequency domain, you might maybe between 5 and 450 hertz, like something like this. But a different frequency will have different amplitude. Similar like the Fourier series, right? You have a 0, you have a 1, you have a 2, right? Each will have different amplitude depending on the frequency. So similarly, this may be different. So how to know then? How to know the amplitude at particular frequency? So actually, you need to simulate, of course, to be realistic EMG signal, you need to simulate between 5 to 450. But it's not that easy, right, to simulate a range of that frequency in LT spice. So that's why I told you just pick 5. If you go to 10, it's better. Yeah, from 5 to 450, pick 5 voltage source. Yeah, 5 voltage source. Yeah, for example, the first one you pick 10 hertz, then 50 hertz, then 150, then maybe 300, then 450 hertz. But then what about the amplitude? Now the amplitude, I cannot answer. So I've never did any FFT to EMG before. So what you can do, go to this website, physio.net.org. Alternatively, find any raw EMG signal. Let me check. If we Google raw EMG signal, is it there? It's supposed to be there. Yeah, there is some people maybe storing that. I'm checking on my raw EMG signal. Yes, you can find example of raw EMG signal. Download scientific diagram. See here, there, the image there. This is how EMG look like. Everyone see from my camera? This is EMG. So None of your, all from the 4 groups, the presentation that I have just listened, none resembles this signal. Okay, you put one if 5 Hz, the other one, the other electrode is how many? 100, 300. So this is what you need to, yeah, this is the perfect one. So when the signal becomes higher, is that it is when the muscle is contracting. Then it becomes, when it is relaxed, the signals gets smaller again. So something like that. So try to download it. Yeah, this is from the from ResearchGate. So maybe they have the raw data. You can try to download it and then try to put into Octave first, Octave or MATLAB using FFT. There is a one single function to do FFT in MATLAB or Octave. So immediately you find the amplitude for which frequency domain. And you pick the major, let's say you pick the major frequency domain 5 or 10. If you are diligent, maybe 10. Then simulate it as this voltage source having that particular frequency and that particular amplitude you get from the FFT of such signal. Okay. No one heard that I said like this last week. I thought I said like this last week. Find data, raw data from visionet.org. No need to be the whole data. One, two, three data, yeah, one original EMG data. Do FFT at MATLAB or Octave. Then you find the frequency component and the amplitude also. But yeah, it's not necessarily uniform. They will have, otherwise they will not. If it is uniform, it could not be this kind of that cannot be this kind of signal. Yeah, it should be some frequency component has higher amplitude than the other frequency component. Then you put that into the summing amplifier. Check first. You can check first. You put a probe in the output of that. So before you put into this INA 128, check their wave. How does it look like? So that's what I meant since last week. Yeah? Try to simulate them. So then can we get after this, how many blocks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 blocks. Can we obtain? Can we know whether the muscle is contracting or not? If yes, how much does the muscle contract? Can we obtain that information from these 5 blocks electronic circuit? That's what I would like to hear from all the 4 groups. Any comments, questions? Crystal, understood? Kevin, understand? Can you understand? Have you understood my blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
Sir?
Yes. Yes.
So I have just opened some data from the PhysioNet.
Yes.
I just have a question about it. So I'll just paste a few of it in the chat, I think.
Yes, okay.
Easier.
Why is it? What is your question?
So this is how the data looks like when you open the PhysioNet. So for example, the first line, is it the contraction and then the other one, the relaxation, the values?
Yeah, should be 2 columns, right? The first
Yeah.
column indicates the time.
Oh.
The second column indicates the value, the voltage value of the EMG.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Then you plot it. You can plot using Octave, MATLAB, Excel, then do FFT. Excel cannot do FFT. I'm not sure if Excel. Anyone knows if Excel has FFT function? But Octave can do FFT, fast Fourier transform. Usually we can do this in the lab using spectrum analyzer. Kak Devita, do we have a spectrum analyzer in our lab?
I don't think so, but because previously we didn't use that yet.
Yeah. Okay. So spectrum analyzer is basically when In software, if you already obtain the time domain signal, you just do FFT. Yeah, spectrum analyzer is basically the hardware of doing FFT signal. So in spectrum analyzer, you put the signal, time domain signal, then the picture, the screen will immediately show the frequency component and its corresponding amplitude of each of the component. Understand everyone, every group, all the group? Bagaimana? Any questions so far?
Sir?
Yes.
So it's sufficient to use, for example, software. Oh, okay.
Yeah, for now, we want the use of the software is Octave or MATLAB is to simulate the EMG, right? To know the frequency component, yeah, of the EMG. Yeah, after you know, then you put into the LT spice. So then now it is just based on what is it? What you did here, Kevin and Christo, is just like suka-suka. Right? What is how to say in English? As you like, right? Oh, I want to pick 500 microvolt. I want to pick 2 hertz and 100 hertz, right? Just by guessing, right? Betul nggak? Is it correct, Christo or Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So not based on scientific facts. So if you already downloaded from from Visionet, plot, and then you do FFT, you know, then you simulate it using several voltage source to simulate that that ripple, yeah. Then it will be more realistic. Yeah. That's what I asked last week, and now 7 days from last week, I haven't seen any of the group do that. So, and you are quiet when I told everyone understand? Yes. No questions. Seems like everyone understand. Apparently, sleeping, but with eyes open. Sleeping with eyes open. Okay, any questions? Now, everyone understand already? Teddy, Nasser, who else? Yeah, Michael and Maria, Diana and Elnora. Yeah, like this. I ask question. Huh?
Yes.
You understand, Elnora, what to do?
I understand the concept, but for the implementation, we're going to have to figure it out.
You're going to, yeah. So look. So what I want is like the full screen. How to do full screen? So first find data from raw EMG data. Okay, raw EMG data. As you like, you want to find it from which place? Raw EMG data. Just one simple measurement. Yeah, maybe during, and then you find it is maybe during a person doing like this, lifting some heavy weight or something. This can be from visionet.org or maybe from ResearchGate, or you Google it, researchgate.net, etc., etc. Yeah, so many different. Then you plot it. Use Octave or MATLAB or Python or Excel. So then you plot as similar to the data that I showed to you. It's a function of time. Yeah, so it's a function of time. Like this is the contraction, for example. Yeah, like this again. So you know this time domain, right? The time domain, you know how many, this is how many milliseconds, how many seconds, etc. Then afterwards, you do FFT. So from here, you use FFT. This can be you can use Octave, MATLAB, Python. I'm not sure with Excel. I've never searched for FFT in Excel. Fast Fourier transform. what will you get from fast Fourier transform is you will get the frequency domain spectrum. So instead, this will be transformed into frequency domain. So the x-axis is not t, not time anymore, but frequency. So from here you obtain, since you know this is a non-periodic signal, right? So the frequency domain signal will not be discrete like in the Fourier series, but rather it will be continuous, as Maria's group already implied, from 5 Hertz until 450 Hertz. Maybe this is just my guess, yeah. Just don't take this as the fact, yeah. 5 until 450 Hertz. So you then of course it will be difficult, right, to simulate 5, 6, 7 until 450. Then how many hundreds of voltage source you need to put into your LT spice, right? Too difficult, and you don't have much time. So just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example, 5 voltage source. So what is this? For example, this is 10 Hertz, this is 100, this is 200, this is 250, this is 300. What is the amplitude? The amplitude, what do you call it? The amplitude component of that frequency. This you simulate into the LT spice. After that, you put into LT spice simulation. LT spice, this, sorry, not like that. Then into 5 voltage, for example, 5 voltage source. So each of this goes to a summing amplifier. Why this? Okay, and this similarly like this, another one. You learned already, right? Summing amplifier. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. Okay, good. I thought you haven't done that. So we taught you that we did teach you. We did our job, yeah. For example, this is five source. Okay, 5 source sum. So this one, each one has different frequency, but this is goes to electrode 1. Right, then you put another one similar like this. You put to electrode 2, but maybe with slight difference. Okay, slight difference in their amplitude. Otherwise, if they are completely the same, then you will, in the first differential amplifier, you just get flat, right? Zero difference, right? So you put a little, when you simulate a little bit difference between the 2 place of electrode measurement in the muscle. Yeah, usually EMG is in the range of, this one is maybe in the range of microvolt. Yeah, but then EMG is still quite larger compared to EEG, so maybe in hundreds of microvolt. Yeah, this is 50 microvolt. Smaller than ECG. ECG is in the millivolt range, right? The raw signal, millivolt range. EEG is brain is even smaller, 1 or 2 microvolt range. So EMG is somewhere in between ECG and EEG. Okay, understood, Elnora?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Diana?
Yes, sir.
Beneran yes ya? Jangan yes sir, tapi nanti enggak. Then you do similarly again. Michael and Maria? Understandable
Yes,
or
sir.
not? Okay.
Yes.
Any questions so far?
To try it first and
Kita,
so
what is their deadline, Kak Dev?
Yes, Pak Dedi.
What is their deadline? When is their deadline?
Today is actually for the
Sunday?
the due date for the lab reports related to EMG, right? About this session,
Yes.
it should be today, I think. But
Today.
yes, today before the different tests begin, the deadline was down
Okay, can you give them extension maybe until Sunday?
until Sunday.
Yes, so that then they can implement this. So apparently, even after you extend it 1 week from the last week deadline, they haven't done anything related to this. Even though I have mentioned this,
Okay,
they
Pak
haven't
Dedi.
done nothing about this. So give them extension until Sunday evening, or something like that. Okay, so that then they can try to implement this. Yeah, so then hopefully it will enhance the quality compared to last year, the quality of the practicum. Yes, Kak Devita, please give them extension.
I will change the date now.
Yes. Any questions so far from the students related to this? Yeah, this EMG simulation. Yeah, this is because last year maybe we can try immediately, yeah, in our hand, our muscles. But now to this year, we don't have that luxury to go to the lab. So, but on the other hand, so you have a lot of time at home. So now try your best to simulate the EMG signal more realistically. Take the signal from Visionet and then model it using. Similar later for the next module with ECG. Visionet.org also contains ECG, raw ECG signal. Okay, so then because we cannot measure immediately our ECG, you cannot also try your making circuit yourself. Next module also maybe will be simulation also, but then try to emulate or simulate ECG signal from the QRS, PQRST wave, simulate it into using like this. Similarly, using FFT, take the raw data from visionet.org or other resources, make FFT match component. The more realistic your signal, the higher your mark will be. Yeah, then something like that. Okay, any questions?
Sir, is it okay if I share my screen
Yes,
for what I have?
sure, why not?
So for example, so this is for the ECG, but it has for conditions that like some nerve conditions.
EMG, yeah,
So
EMG.
if we are looking at this, yeah, if we're looking at this, for example, I take the healthy data, and
Yeah.
for example, the I don't know, the neuropathy data, for example.
Yeah, no, the EMG healthy, it will be okay. Myopathy is something else, right? Neuropathy is also something else. Neuropathy is, I'm not sure what does it entails.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
EMG, I think
So
it
we
is
only take
people
here?
with some diseases, people with disease, neuropathic
Yeah.
disease. So maybe you get the healthy, just healthy one, healthy EMG signal.
And then if we look at the healthy one, how do we know which one is for the first input and
Yeah,
then the other
so
ones for?
this is the first column.
Yeah.
Don't move. That will be the first column, and this is, I believe, is in time, maybe
Yes.
in second. Okay, so if you see here, then it will be 2.5, 0.25 millisecond, then 0.5 millisecond, 0.75 millisecond. So the sampling rate is 4,000 hertz. Yeah, I think. Then this one is the EMG potential fault, but I'm not sure the unit microvolt or millivolt. You have to look at the note or the description by the uploader. Can you get it? Can you go back and then see the yeah, here, yeah, okay. Yeah, here there is a reference, right? Which you can see. Go up again, further up,
Yeah.
further up, go up. Look, yes, data description. Data were collected with a Medalec Synergy N2 EMG monitoring system. 25 blah 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 for several seconds. Data were then collected for several seconds. At which point the patient was asked to relax and the needle removed. The figure shows three examples. A 44-year-old man without history. So this is the healthy one. Okay, okay. The data were recorded at 50 kilohertz sampling rate. Yeah? So this is the sampling rate, 50 kilohertz. That's why you obtain even 0.25 millisecond, 250 microsecond. It record the data. So that's why, because the sampling rate was so high. And then downsampled, yeah, I said 4 kilohertz, 4000 hertz. Downsampled to 4 kilohertz. During the recording process, two analog filters were used, 20 hertz high pass filter and 5 kilohertz low pass filter. Okay, so I'm not sure with the signal there, the magnitude maybe in millivolt. Okay, maybe. So if to be sure, maybe we can look at the journal where it is being cited. So for example, here, number 2, techniques for EMG signal. It will be, maybe it is mentioned there. Maybe. Yeah. Then you know the unit. Okay. Can you go to the data again, please?
Yes.
While you are looking for the other. So yeah, I believe that the left column is the first column is in the unit is in second. Okay. So for example, here 0.00025 second or 250 microsecond, then 500 microsecond, 750 microsecond, 1000 microsecond, or 1 millisecond. The second column, I think, is in, I'm not sure. Yeah? It can be in millivolt or it can be in volt as well. Maybe it can be in volt. So it has been amplified already by the EMG instrument. Okay? It is in volt. So this means 33.3 millivolt. Yeah. So in that case, then it is already amplified. So later, after you do FFT, yeah, your circuit supposed to do amplification, right? So what you can do, you reduce the amplitude from this. This is the data, but this is not raw data at the electrode. Okay, guys. So these data are the data from their EMG instrument, right? So you have to do some modification to the you have to do some modification to this amplitude. You have to make it smaller, maybe. So instead now maybe it's in volt, you make it into millivolt region. So if it is in millivolt, this is actually equals to 33.3 microvolt, for example. You got what I mean?
Yes, sir.
The others, do you understand, the other students? Yeah. Can you try find other examples of EMG raw?
Sir, I think there was a picture for this EMG signal.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's in millivolts.
In where?
In the list for the physiology.net, they have like this picture.
Yeah.
I can view it.
This one, right? Now even they have the
So
raw.
this one.
Yeah. So that's why your output, final output of your simulation should look like this or similar, lah, not the same. Similar like this. Okay. See. So in all of your 4 groups, it's more like ripple, right? Ripple. Your data instead is like this, right? Like then increasing, then also some is then after that is constant, but with some frequency. It doesn't look like this. That's why I was thinking, what are these students drawing? So why is it not the same as the actual EMG data that we have ever measured? Yeah. So please do something like that. Yeah. So try to simulate. So of course, instead of this one is already amplified. This is the output of the final output of the circuit. It's supposed to be like looks like this. So then you try to simulate the one that the raw data in the electrode. So maybe you need to decrease the amplitude. Then afterwards you also put some other noises, maybe notch frequent notch not power line noise 50 hertz. Maybe then add some noise due to the movement, small movement, which is maybe very low frequency noise, and then put some other white noise also, as you have did, some of you have done. So then your simulation is more realistic. Did you get it? Any questions? So what is the y-axis here?
I'm guessing frequency or
No,
maybe
it
voltage.
should be in volt, but whether it is millivolt or volt, that is what I need to know. Any way to know that?
I don't know how to look for it.
Okay, try to the non-unhealthy one, the myopathy or the neuropathy. And how does it look like? The EMG signal. Now, see, this is not the same scale or different scale than the previous one, healthy.
I'm not sure, sir.
If it is in the same scale, then it shows that this is what, neuropathy or myopathy? Myopathy, right? That in the myopathy, they cannot activate their muscles. That is why the signal, EMG signal is very low, almost no signal at all. Can you go to the other one, the other pathy one, neuropathy or what? Yeah, this is myopathy, right? Now neuropathy is in the neuron, the disease in the neuron. Now this is higher than the non-healthy people, right? The range is higher. So this is what if possible, I would like all of you to try to simulate. So to compare with this actual EMG measurement from your simulation result. Can you do that? All the 4 groups, please. Bisa ya?
Yeah, I'll try my best, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, I'm still a little bit confused. So you would like us to take the data for like the first input and the second input for the superposition from one set? So for example, from healthy only, or you want us to find 2 different ones?
Can anyone explain? Yang sudah, the one those who understand.
I'm confused.
I've explained. I've explained blah blah blah. So
No, I mean like.
Nah, I want to know whether the other understand. Diana, can you, or Diana or Maria, can you explain to Nasser what do you understand? Diana, Maria? Maria?
Which part?
Yeah, answer Nasser's questions.
What was the question again?
So for example, for the first input, we choose like 5 from here for superposition for the first one, and then we look for another set of data. For example, for the what's it called for this one, for the neuropathy, or do we take the first set of superposition from here and the second set of superposition from here as well?
I don't understand the question.
I don't understand either.
Uh, I don't get the question.
You have to download it and then you try to make the graph in the Octave, and then you change it into using the FFT and make the fast Fourier transform graph. Then take the for example 100 hertz and then 500 hertz and something like that, and then simulate it in the LT spice. Is that correct? I don't know.
Okay, Christo, now you explain it again. You
Again?
become the teacher now. So, okay. To know how difficult it is to explain a concept to the students. Okay, try explain again. You use the whiteboard here. Use the annotate function. Explain to Nasser and the rest.
Not annotate. How do I annotate?
So what to do in steps? What to do? What do they need to do?
It's my understanding.
Yeah, no problem. You try to.
Yeah, from that website. The website you download it. That .txt.
Yeah.
You get the data.
Download first. You download the raw data. Okay.
Yeah, and then raw data download.
Yes. Okay.
And then after that, you simulate it in the Octave, the raw data.
Okay, so to make it clearer for the rest, I will rewrite it from you.
Okay, sir. So and then after that, you use the fast Fourier transform to change from the time domain to the frequency domain.
And plot the data. Okay. The time domain data.
Yeah, this one is from time domain to frequency domain.
And fast Fourier transform. Fast Fourier transform. So this is from F3 becomes
Fs.
Function of frequency.
Yeah.
Or function of omega, as you like.
And then after that, you pick the certain frequency. Yeah, for example, it's from, I don't know, it's up to you. Yes. 10 or 100 for 100 hertz, something like that. And then try to simulate or just the
several, either 5 to 10 number of frequency component, of frequency component from the fast Fourier transform.
Summing at the same and use the and put the, for example, the amplitude and the frequency to the voltage source,
LT spice,
LT spice, and then use the summing amplifier.
Yeah. Okay. Then simulate this frequency component, of EMG as several voltage sources. Having amplitude, A1 until AN, and frequency 1 until frequency N. As you like. The N is up to you. N is up to you. To be real, the more realistic the simulation will be. Okay. So this is then simulated as voltage source, put into summing amplifier of M. Okay. Any questions so far? Understood, Kat Nasser?
Yes, sir. I think I was confused because you know how the simulation we created, we had 2 electrodes. So now we only need 1.
No, you still need
So
two. Right?
So
You need to
we
simulate
still
it
need 2.
by putting a little bit difference between the after you know the frequency. You after you put into the summing amplifier, this you put then to the electrode 1, for example. Then for the second electrode you do the same, but maybe from then repeat again from maybe from this one, yeah, maybe from this one you repeat again, but use different amplitude, maybe a little bit different. The EMG
Oh, okay, from the same
measures
data.
voltage difference. EMG measures voltage difference between the 2 electrode placed nearby in the muscles.
Okay.
Kevin, understand?
Yes, sir.
Michael, Jeremy, understand?
Yes.
Elnora, understand?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yana, understand?
Hello?
Yeah. Do you understand?
Oh, yes, sir.
Maria, do you understand now or still doubt?
Yes, I understand now.
Understand a little bit? 100%? So?
99.99%.
99.99%. Okay. Teddy, do you understand? Ted, you sleeping? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Nasser, the questioner, do you understand? Do you get it?
If we're talking percentages, maybe 85%.
It is better, right? Than previous. Previous maybe 40%.
Yeah, previously less maybe.
Yeah, you ask Christo if you don't understand.
Yeah. Thank you.
But this is what I meant last week. Apparently, you didn't understand. All of you didn't understand that time last week. Yeah. So yeah, because we cannot try your circuit right now in real hand because you don't build a circuit. We cannot go to the lab. That's why now simulate the EMG signal also. So you don't only simulate the EMG circuit, but the EMG signal that you put into that circuit, please simulate it also as realistic as possible. Yeah, it is. We have to modify a little bit the module. Yeah, we haven't. I and Kak Devita haven't changed the module, but please, still just verbally, I told you please simulate also the signal more realistically. So this also will be the same with the next module, ECG, yeah, electrocardiography. Also, please try to simulate the ECG signal as realistic as possible to have that PQRST wave. If anyone, from my understanding now, I understand it like this, yeah. So pick 5 to 10 frequency component and then simulate it as a voltage source, sinusoidal voltage source. But if any of you know how to simulate it better, to be more continuous, so not just only 5 voltage source or 10 voltage source, but can be more continuous throughout the bandwidth of the EMG signal or ECG signal next module, please let us know. Then I will be learning. I will be more than willing to learn also from you. Yeah, maybe because my knowledge on LT Spice is also maybe still limited. If there is a way that we can do such thing in LT Spice, let us all know. You have to simulate. So from what I know, when you you use LT Spice, you have to put the signal the source as a time varying voltage source, right? Or time varying current source. But now, can we instead put it as a frequency varying signal? If we can do that using LT Spice, that will be best. That will be the best. Okay, then we can simulate ECG, we can simulate EMG, we can simulate EEG from raw. So like from raw data, we do FFT, but then immediately we do inverse FFT to simulate different types of biological signal. Okay. If any of you knows how to do so, how to do that, please let me know. I'm more than eager to know. Any comments, critics, questions?
So far, no, sir.
So far, no, yeah. Apparently, all have understand, yeah, my point, yeah.
Inshallah.
Okay. Okay. If there is no further question, Kak Devita, do you have anything to add?
Thing, okay, so I already changed the date, guys. So you can, so please submit your lab reports before the deadline. Okay, Pak Dedi, I think that's all.
Okay, that's all for today.